Today, I want to have a conversation about Kevin Korchinski. There's been a lot of talk around Kevin Korchinski lately. He got called up the other day after Wyatt Kaiser went down and kind of near the end of the Olympic break. He might not play, he might, we'll see. But either way, I wanted to talk about him because there's been a bit of talk about his future here in Chicago. Welcome back to the Blackhawks Conversation. If you're new here, I'm here after every single Chicago Blackhawks game doing an in-depth analysis, post-game show. I'm also live right here on YouTube for every single Chicago Blackhawks game. So make sure you subscribe to not miss that. It's a lot of fun. We're all there to hang out, watch the Hawks game. It's a great time. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. Yeah, Kevin Korchinski. He got called up, like I said, kind of near the end of the Olympic break, just as we're wrapping things up here. Um, Jeff Blashill said he might not even play, or he kind of alluded to the fact that he might not play. Um, but like I said, there's been a lot of talk kind of about him. He's expiring as an RFA. We haven't seen much of him lately. There hasn't really been that chance to impress. And a lot of people are talking about him potentially being packaged this offseason. Now, there's no real sign of that. No one in the Hawks organization has said that. It's just a lot of fan speculation. But I thought it would be an interesting topic to talk about. Um, Personally, I would like to see Kevin Korchinski play out the rest of this season with the team. I mean, you got to assume at least one of Murphy or Grizzlick, probably Murphy is going to get traded, maybe both of them. So I would like to see him play, but I want to go over the reason. And the reason for that is because listen, he's 21 years old. Since his rookie season, it was also Bedard's rookie year. I believe Kevin Korchinski played 76 games. It was in the 70s. We haven't seen we haven't seen him since. This year he's played 2 games with the team. He's got 1 assist, a -2, 2 shots on goal in those 2 games. I thought he looked pretty good in his second game. Last year, he played a 7-game stretch in March and April. He had a goal and an assist, 2 points. His plus minus was 0. Earlier that year in the 24-25 year in December, he played 9 games. He had 0 points. He was a -5. So since his rookie season, he hasn't played a stretch of more than 9 NHL games. And I think that's really unfair to a degree to him. It's also partially his fault because he hasn't really played himself into a position to where we have to have him up here. Like a Moore or a Lardis, or where they play so well, like a Nazar, where you're like they have to be up in the NHL. So he hasn't really done that, but I also think it's a little unfair that he hasn't got the shot of more than 9 games in the past 2 seasons to really show us what he is, show if he's made much improvement. And the reason I think that's unfair is because you might say, well, 9 games, that's a lot of games, and it's not, because he's 21 years old. He's still developing, and that jump from the NHL or the AHL to the NHL is a massive jump, and you need to give guys the chance to get acclimated and get comfortable and adjust to the speed of the game. And look at Nick Lardis and Oliver Moore and Frank Nazar. All three of those guys, when they came up, they needed time to get going and really start to play like the players they are now, or the players we've seen recently with Nick Lardis. It took him a while, and then he started playing like a guy. Okay, he can score. His shot is adjusting well to the NHL. He's adjusting to the speed and the physicality of the game. And Kevin Korchinski just hasn't been given that chance in the past 2 seasons. So honestly, I would like to see him up here the rest of the year. Um, Again, that's kind of assuming one or both of Murphy and Grizzly get traded, and it's a lot easier if both of them go. If both of them go, I think he slots in perfectly on that third pair, and I would like to see, you got Vlasic, Crevier, Kaiser, Levshinov, and then I'd like to see a bit of a rotation of Krasinski, Ethan Del Mastro with a guy like Rinzel. You could maybe, depending on pairings and matchups, you could, swap a Crevier with a Rinzel, get Rinzel back on that top pair. I mean, this is all speculation, of course, but I mean, I think that there's room for him. If one of those guys stays, I still think you keep him up here. Like, I think he deserves a chance, even if he doesn't play every game throughout the rest of the season. I think he deserves the chance. As far as him potentially getting moved this offseason, I highly, highly doubt it. I mean, Kyle Davidson patient. He wants to pass the torch to the young guys. I just don't see him bailing on a 21-year-old seventh overall pick already. Uh, but he's an RFA this year, so it's going to be interesting to see. We're really going to be able to tell from his next contract how the Blackhawks view him, and I think he deserves that chance to play out the rest of the season, really get acclimated to the NHL, play 20, 25 games, and for us to really see where he's at right now. And it's not let's see what he is and decide in the offseason or after the season wraps up if we're moving him. I don't think you move Kevin Korchinski. I've gone back and forth on this, and I've kind of landed on I don't think you move him. And the reason I've gone back and forth is because it's hard not to get into the mentality of, wow, there's so many exciting young players. They're arriving. Let's add a superstar. Like it's hard not to get into that mindset sometimes. But at the end of the day, I really do think the smart thing to do is to let all these guys pan out to a degree where you know what you have in them. It's not just speculation, and you can trade who you feel you need to trade to fill the holes that you maybe don't have as much strength in. Um, so this, I think you need to let him play the rest of this year, and you need to figure out, okay, where is he at right now? Has he made improvement in the AHL? Has he made enough improvement in the AHL to where it will translate to the NHL? And for that, you need more than 9 games. And then you can really see, okay, what's the plan going forward? Does he need more AHL time next year, or okay, is he ready to start next season in the NHL? And obviously, the biggest issue around Kevin Korchinski is the defensive side of the puck. The skating is there, the offensive skill set is there, the offensive instincts are there. We've seen that. It's the defensive play and the physicality is the big thing. The guy just hasn't been able to put on weight. I had a conversation with Ben Pope the other day. We were kind of talking about Kevin Korchinski. That interview is available on this channel. Um, and you made a really good point that the guy's not putting on size, and the reason he's not putting on size is because he doesn't want to sacrifice his speed. And at some point, yeah, you don't want to take away from your strength, but if your weakness is so bad that you're not going to be able to get to the NHL or have a career in the NHL because of it, I think you might have to sacrifice a bit of that strength. And it's just something he's not doing, and I really hope it's something we see this offseason. But the ability to box out and play the body, and that's something Jeff Blashill is big on, boxing out. That's a huge part of his defensive system, is something that Kevin Korchinski really, really struggles with. So that is the part of his game that really needs to be fixed. I mean, we're not looking to him to be like a physical presence like a Radko Gudas or something, but uh what's the word I'm looking for? Competent physically, defensively. If he can be a net neutral in the defensive zone and be a strength in the offensive zone and on the power play. I mean that is what Kevin Korchinski panning out looks like. You didn't draft him to be a shutdown defensive defenseman. You drafted him to hopefully not cost you anything in the defensive zone and to provide you something in the offensive zone. That's who Kevin Korchinski is, and I think he does. He needs to put on size, and if it means him sacrificing some of his speed, some of that strength, I think you need to do it. But I really wanted to look at what is Kevin Korchinski's contract going to look like coming out of this season, going into next season. Obviously, he's a UFA, or sorry, an RFA. And like I said, I don't think they move him. I would be surprised if they did. I wouldn't necessarily be angry if they did, depending on what the package is. I'm not emotionally tied to Kevin Korchinski in any way, but I wouldn't anticipate a move, just knowing what we know about Kyle Davidson. It's interesting. We have a couple comparables on the team. The only guys I could really pull were Wyatt Kaiser and Louis Crevier. Out of Wyatt Kaiser's entry level, you had him get a 2-year 1.7, and out of Louis Crevier's entry level, you had him get a 2-year $900,000 deal. And I see Kevin Korchinski falling somewhere in the middle of that. Dollar wise, the pattern there is obviously 2 years. I think Kevin Korchinski would be a 2 to 3 year deal. I think it would be a prove it deal. And that's why I think he needs these 25 games, is because I think he needs the chance to start proving it. But yeah, I would speculate anywhere between, 900 grand and 1.2, 1.3. I don't think you go much higher than that in dollar value, and I don't think you go much longer than that in term, but more than 2 to maybe 3 years. Um, so I think they still view Kevin Korchinski as that guy that definitely could pan out, but I think he's fallen behind. He's been lapped by, you know, Rinzel's, Levshinov's, Kaisers. Like those guys have jumped him in the system, and I think that's part of the reason he's not really giving the chance. But this guy has a really strong upside, and I think he deserves the chance. I really want to know what you guys think. This whole Kevin Korchinski conversation is super interesting. I'm really excited to see if he gets games this season because, like I said, he's called up, but there's really no indication that he's going to play. Wyatt Kaiser might not be out that long. According to Blashill, he might even be back on this upcoming road trip. He's going to start skating soon, so we'll see. It's all up in the air. My overall thought is that it's a little unfair that in 2 seasons we haven't seen more than a 9-game sample size. He hasn't played himself into forcing Kyle Davidson to give him more than 9 games, but he also should, I think, be given the chance. And I'm really excited to see how his game is developed. If he gets a couple games in this call up, I'd be psyched. Again, you already know my opinion. I want him up here for the rest of the year, but I'd be really curious to hear what you guys think. Like I said, if you're new here, I'm here after every single Chicago Blackhawks game doing an in-depth post-game analysis, and I'm also live during every single Blackhawks game. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. Let me know in the comments what you thought or what you think of Kevin Korchinski, what you think the future holds for him, and be sure to send this video to a friend and get them over here because we're building a really cool community of Blackhawks fans. That's it for me. Games start up soon. I'll be live, and I'll see you then. It's in! Bedard! Let's go! Connor Bedard! 1-0. Fuck yeah. Go Mikheyev. Mikheyev's got a lane. Oh, what a shot! Ilya Mikheyev. Let's go! Man, he is so good. If they let him go or if they trade him, I'm going to be... They got to re-sign this guy. What a shot. And a good play. Was that Dickinson that flipped it out to him? All right, 2-on-1 maybe. Nazar, Bedard. Bedard stops up. He's got so much room, and he scores. What a shot from Connor Bedard. My word. That was beautiful. Too bad it doesn't matter. That was such a nice shot. That stop-up toe drag, he loves it. Bang.